As of late, I can't help but feel that the tides are shifting in the world of comic books. While the big two have always been in competition with each other, the recent crossover comics and re-releases of the omnibuses for their 90s Versus and Amalgam series would make you think that everything is just alright in the neighborhood. Basically, it feels like this for comic fans lately. However, a recent market share report by ICV2 has revealed that, somewhat quietly, DC Comics has overtaken Marvel for a second quarter in a row. This is something that others on social media have pointed out has not happened this century. Now, while we'd have to do a little bit more research to confirm this, what is easily observable is just how well their most recent initiatives have done. Marvel came out the gate with a brand new Ultimate Universe as part of a greater initiative to drive new readers, with the greatest selling and received book being Ultimate Spider-Man. On the flip side, DC, as a part of their All-In initiative, did something similar with their Absolute Universe. Even so, while their initial points of inception were almost the same, the way the companies have handled these projects couldn't have turned out more differently. While Ultimate Spider-Man still performed well, the other books and concepts fell by the wayside as their stories didn't really keep up that momentum from their initial hooks. In fact, I would argue that Ultimate Spider-Man, while re-establishing the marriage and family between Peter and Mary Jane, left something to be desired in me personally as a longtime fan. And the thing that killed the momentum for the Ultimate Universe was, of course, the fact that it would end. While avid readers understood that the books would be leading up to a confrontation with the Maker, and that would be the big climax for the universe, we all sort of expected it to go beyond that. I suppose everyone thought that the Maker was just going to be the beginning. But nope! In January, they announced that they'd be closing the doors forever with a final story titled Ultimate Endgame and an epilogue titled Ultimate Universe Finale. That really soured the experience for readers such as myself who were following the universe for the past 2 years with a lot of attention. Now, while the creative in me wants to argue in favor of the decision because the concept of a complete universe from beginning to end being a massive story, that sounds really interesting, the comic fan in me says we never really got started. Meanwhile, in the Absolute Universe, not only did we start off with a bang with Absolute Batman, but we've seemingly kept that momentum throughout. And recently, Scott Snyder said that there are no plans on ending the Absolute Universe anytime soon, specifically expressing, "Until you guys stop reading them, we have no plans to end it." As a result, comic readers who've invested their time, energy, and of course money into the project feel like they're in safe hands. While it remains to be seen whether or not the Absolute Universe will balloon out of control and no longer be a tight and engaging set of stories, I'm pretty hopeful that it won't. That being said, the All-In initiative isn't ending at the creation of the Absolute Universe. It's also affected the mainline books and has led to refreshing new stories that serve as great jumping-on points for readers without resetting continuity. Therefore, little Timmy, who really liked the newest Superman movie, could start reading from Superman number 19. Would he sort of be confused? Maybe, but his foot is in the door, and he'll most likely go backwards to get a complete story and become an even bigger fan as time goes on. But none of this really matters if we're looking at the comics alone, since for all intents and purposes, it's still sort of a niche. As much of a bigger and representative niche than before, but still not seeing the mainstream success as something like video games and movies. And speaking of the latter, films are where the general public mostly learns of these characters. Both Marvel and DC Studios effectively act as sort of gatekeepers on whether or not the general public will be interested enough to go deeper, and quite frankly, I still think that DC is doing better overall. I don't want to be all doom and gloom for Marvel though. I grew up with that side of the comics world and Spider-Man will always be my favorite superhero, but Marvel should not live off of Spider-Man alone. The biggest projects people are looking forward to are Brand New Day, The Punisher, One Last Kill, X-Men 97 Season 2, and of course, Doomsday. However, with what's been happening behind the scenes with Doomsday, it doesn't exactly instill within me confidence. Yeah, I'm 100% looking forward to Brand New Day and the other two, but Doomsday has been something that's been plagued by skepticism, actors not knowing what's really going on or what's going to happen in the movie, and the consensus online being that it can't possibly live up to its expectations. On top of this, the recent news that Disney has laid off a substantial amount of Marvel Studios staff to streamline operations, which is bullshit if you ask me, is placing the Giants in a really bad spot. Looking over at DC Studios, their issues come with the news that WB is being sold or merged with, or whatever is really happening there, to another studio like Paramount. Essentially, will DC Studios still be safe under a new head company, and will the creative teams and filmmaking philosophies behind the projects that we're really looking forward to, such as Supergirl, Clayface, and Man of Tomorrow, is all of that in jeopardy? Only time will tell, but I have hope that critical and audience reception of these upcoming films will continue to be positive and will ensure that they have longevity. While everything with these higher-ups, especially in Hollywood, is going to be in question and somewhat volatile, we turn back to the comic book industry and find the answer as to why DC is just doing better. Ultimately speaking, DC is providing artists and writers opportunities to really show off what they're capable of in solo and team-up books, while generally avoiding big status quo changing events. Meanwhile, at Marvel, it feels like they're really only giving those types of chances to their event books. Everything has to lead up to an event of some kind, but the solo books aren't really performing as they should, even if they're crafted by phenomenal creatives. This is to say that their current vision of the big picture isn't really working, and while we have had some victories, some feel like half steps back or course corrections, while the others aren't getting as much attention or push from the company, making them feel like diamonds in the rough. Or maybe I just haven't been keeping up. What do you think? Is DC really cooking Marvel right now? I, for one, want to see both succeed and thrive by giving more power to their creatives and really believing in their initiatives and audiences. Anyway, that's all for today. If you like this comic book centered video, consider leaving a like and subscribing. I'd love to talk about this with you all in the comments. So yeah, it's your boy Foster, and I hope you have a good day and a good night.